In this video, you will learn about the mysterious manuscript that scientists from all over the world cannot solve. You will see the city, all the inhabitants of which were rich. Watch the video until the end. Interesting archaeological discoveries are waiting for you. Hi friend, you're on the KirTop channel. Tiny votive vessel. A tiny clay vessel measuring 3 centimeters was found in the ancient city of Troy, located in Hizalik in modern Turkey, 30 kilometers southwest of Çanakkale. During archaeological excavations in the ancient city of Troy, an intact one of the tiny vessels was found for the first time, symbolically presented to the gods by those who did not have money in the sanctuary and who could not make other offerings. Archaeologists have stumbled upon a 2,300-year-old vessel made of the finest clay, which has a symbolic meaning. Previous excavations at Troy revealed that the site was a sanctuary. The area has been turned into a holy place thanks to the history of the Trojan War and the history of heroism. Troy is a very important center. This is a rare ancient city that still retains this feature. The 4,000-year-old ancient city of Troy perched atop the Hizalik Mounts and dominating the Turkish Aegean coastal plain is one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world. The first excavations in the ancient city were carried out in 1870 by the German entrepreneur Heinrich Schliemann. Europe's largest dinosaur skeleton. The remains of a representative of the species of the largest dinosaurs were found in the garden behind a residential building in the city of Pombal. The excavations began in 2017 when the owner of the house noticed fragments of a fossilized bone in his garden and contacted researchers from the University of Lisbon. Scientists have found the remains of a Brachiosaurus at the site, the largest of all dinosaurs and land animals that have ever existed on Earth. Brachiosaurs were herbivores, had long necks, and walked on 4 legs. The size of the bones suggests that the dinosaur was 12 meters high and 25 meters long. It is unusual to find all the ribs of such an animal, let alone retain their original anatomical position. Since the skeleton was found in a natural pose, the researchers hope that further excavations will be able to unearth more parts of the same dinosaur. Paleontologists believe that the animal died about 150 million years ago. Bird from Saqqara. Have you ever heard of the mysterious story of the Saqqara bird? Perhaps this is one of the most interesting objects that scientists managed to discover at the end of the 19th century. In 1898, an Egyptian archaeologist, Dr. Khalil Masika, excavated a burial site at Sappho. There, he accidentally discovered an unusual figurine of a bird. It was small and light, but it had a very interesting shape. The body of the figurine resembled a bird, but its wings looked exactly like the wings of a modern jet plane. They are made as a single element made from a single piece of wood, which is thickened in the middle and thinned at the ends. All this suggests that more than 2,000 years ago, the Egyptians had quite serious knowledge in the field of aerodynamics. That is why the find led Egyptologists into confusion, giving rise to many theories and disputes. What's more, when scientists made a copy of the figurine and tested it, they were able to verify that it could glide several meters by simply tossing the model into the air. The opinions of scientists are divided. Some argue that the resemblance of this bird to an airplane is completely accidental, while others believe that its author was an Egyptian genius who actually created a model of a modern aircraft. Woman in canoe. 800 years ago, mourners buried a young woman in a ceremonial canoe to send her on her last journey to the land of the dead in what is now Patagonia, according to a new study. This discovery disproves the theory that canoe burials could only have been used after Spanish colonization and confirms ethnographic and historical evidence that they were practiced throughout pre-Hispanic South America. The remains were found at an excavation site called Nguyen Antak near Lake Laca in western Argentina. The wooden canoes of the time, known as wampos, were hollowed out using fire. According to the analysis, the woman at the time of death was from 17 to 25 years old, but the cause of death could not be determined. They also found a jar near the head and almost 600 charred pieces of wood from a single Chilean cedar. The find is indeed unusual because most canoe burials were for men. Previous research has shown that burying people in canoes was part of the ritual to allow the dead to make their final journey through mystical waters to another land known as Namelofkin, where they would live in a place known as the destination of souls. Dinosaur footprints in Texas. American researchers found dinosaur footprints in Texas. Paw prints of a huge reptile, 4.5 meters tall, Acrocanthosaurus, were found in a dry riverbed after a severe drought caused the water level to drop. 113-million-year-old dinosaur footprints were discovered after a severe drought dried up a river in Texas. The footprints belong to a 4-meter Acrocanthosaurus, weighing 7 tons, and were discovered by experts in the Dinosaur Valley State Park. According to local experts, some of the prints also belonged to Zava Poseidon, which was about 18 meters tall and weighed about 44 tons. Dinosaur Valley State Park boasts many dinosaur footprints, mostly ancient sauropods and theropods, but this is the first time these particular footprints have been seen. Sauropods include herbivorous dinosaur species such as Diplodocus and Brontosaurus, which had large flat feet like an elephant, while theropods such as Tyrannosaurus rex had clawed, three-toed feet. Acrocanthosaurus was, in terms of kinship, a cousin of Tyrannosaurus rex. The footprints in the park are believed to date back to the mid-Cretaceous, when the Dallas region of Texas was on the seashore. Inscription in Old Russian. This is a very interesting and controversial artifact. They have been working on reading it for more than 70 years. Although it seems that all the letters are legible, it's all about interpretation. Well, the very age of the find also adds space for discussion. Usually, the spread of writing in Russia is associated with baptism. The Cyrillic alphabet, which is used now, is considered to be the invention of the Enlightenment brothers, Cyril and Methodius. Although, to be completely honest, they invented the Glagolitic alphabet, and the Cyrillic alphabet was developed by one of the Cyril's students, the Bulgarian monk Clement of Ohrid. It is important that Cyrillic writing arrived in Russia in a monastic convoy. It was originally invented in order to make Christian texts available to the Slavs. The first books in Cyrillic are translations of the Holy Scriptures. However, near Smolensk in 1949, at the famous Gnezdovsky excavation site, a jug, almost intact, with an interesting inscription was found. This inscription was made quite clearly in Cyrillic, while the find dates back approximately to the middle of the 10th century. That is, the Cyrillic text was applied to the jug several decades before the baptism of Russia. This text is very short, just one word. It looks like this. All letters are written clearly, very clearly visible. Gorokcha. Historians and linguists are at a loss. Maybe it's about the mustard. You know how housewives in modern kitchens sign jars so as not to forget what is stored where. Or perhaps it means that something fuel was stored in the jug. For example, a mixture for Greek fire. Perhaps we have before us a jugs of some merchant who arrived from Moravia or from the Balkans, where the Cyrillic alphabet has already received a certain distribution. Then he could use this new but already very convenient alphabet for the Slavs to sign his property. When everyone was rich. In 1958, archaeologists made a discovery that was not inferior in importance to the discovery of Troy. In the valley of the Konya River in Turkey, the attention of researchers was attracted by an unusual place. which the locals called Çatalhöyük, or Double Hill. The largest of the two hills was 17.5 meters high, and archaeologists hoped to find something of interest here. The discoveries made in Çatalhöyük exceeded the wildest expectations. Archaeologists have unearthed an ancient city whose age has been dated between 6,800 to 5,800 BC. Such an age of the settlement seemed so unrealistic that its dating caused a wave of criticism of the method of radionuclide analysis. A few thousand years before our era, the division of human society into rich and poor has not yet occurred, and all the inhabitants of the city of Çatalhöyük had approximately the same income. As archaeologists managed to find out, they were quite rich. About 5,000–6,000 people lived in the city, which was a lot for that time. The life expectancy of the townspeople was also quite long. The inhabitants of Çatalhöyük were mainly engaged in the cultivation of cereals. However, cattle breeding was also developed in the city. On the territory of the settlement, archaeologists also found bones of fish and birds, vultures. From the Mediterranean coast, materials used to make jewelry, vessels, figurines were brought to the city. These were shells, marble, black limestone, etc. In addition to women's jewelry, mainly beads, archaeologists found in the city baskets with rouge, shells with some creams, and obsidian mirrors. In the beautiful temples of the city of Çatalhöyük, only women served. One of the most amazing finds made in the religious buildings of the city was the Star of Bethlehem, painted on the walls of one of the temples. Previously, archaeologists did not assume that this symbol has such ancient roots. Diseases that killed ancient Egypt. Thousands of years ago in the Eastern Mediterranean, several Bronze Age civilizations at about the same time were on the verge of collapse. The ancient kingdom of Egypt and the Akkadian Empire collapsed, and a widespread social crisis broke out in the ancient Near East and the Aegean Sea, which manifested itself in population decline, destruction, a decrease in trade, and significant cultural changes. In remains excavated from an ancient tomb in Crete, in a cave called Ios Karalambos, a team led by archaeogeneticist Gunnar Newman of the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Germany has discovered genetic evidence for the existence of bacteria responsible for two of the most serial diseases in history: typhoid fever and plague. Therefore, according to the researchers, the widespread diseases caused by these pathogens cannot be discounted as a contributing factor to the social changes that were so widespread from about 2200 to 2000 BC. Yersinia pestis is the bacterium responsible for tens of millions of deaths, most of which occurred in 3 devastating global pandemics. It turned out that this bacterium has been infecting humans since at least the Neolithic period. Last year, scientists discovered that a Stone Age hunter-gatherer likely died of the plague thousands of years before there was evidence that the disease had reached epidemic proportions. Cyclops skull. 2001, May 21st. A strange skull was found in the Rhodope Mountains, which the Bulgarian media soon dubbed the mystical skull. According to the author of the unusual find, he dreamed of it at first. It turned out that Roman Genchev, an avid collector of meteorites, had had the same dream for almost a month. He was sent on a business trip. On his day off, he went to the mountains and found the skull of a strange creature. Everything turned out that way. The skull was immediately examined by scientists. First of all, using radiocarbon dating, they were able to establish his age and conducted a DNA analysis. As you can see, the data obtained were so intriguing that it was classified. But in the era of the internet, it is quite problematic to hide information about such an unusual find. Reports about it first appeared on the net and then in a number of printed publications. Unfortunately, I couldn't find data on the age of the skull, but if we take into account that only its front part was found, neatly cut down by someone in time immemorial, the mysterious creature clearly fell from the hand of a man. Perhaps the unknown monster hunter was Theseus, the legendary Athenian king who defeated the Minotaur. Yes, the victory over the particular monster doesn't look like a myth. Presumably, the creature was small in stature, but it cannot be ruled out that the skull did not belong to an adult. We should also take into account the fact that we know nothing about the fighting qualities of the monster. Perhaps it had the ability to telepathically affect a person, spit poison, or operated under the cover of night, attacking from an ambush. The Rohonzi Codex. The Rohonzi Codex is a very ancient manuscript with many strange illustrations. This mysterious book has 448 pages. The author of this work is unknown, as well as the language in which it was written. The alphabet of this mysterious language contains 200 letters, and the pictures vary from images of military battles to a variety of religious symbols. The manuscript was found, as often happens, completely by accident. In the first half of the 19th century, it was presented to the Hungarian Academy of Sciences by Count Gustav Badiani, along with 3,000 other books. The count was from the city of Rohonzi, and it is to that the manuscript owes its name. Now the city is called Rachnitz and is a territory of Austria. The book has rather modest dimensions, only 10 by 12 centimeters. On each page, from 9 to 14 rows of text are written by hand in some mysterious characters. The total number of characters that are used in the code is approximately 800. This is almost 10 times the size of any alphabet known to date, and most letters are sometimes repeated several times. Analysis of the paper show that the Rohonzi Codex was written around the 16th century on Venetian paper. Once Hungarian scholars suggested reading the codex upside down, so the text resembled the Sumerian script. The Romanian philologist Viorica Ignatievici suggested that the text was originally written in the vulgar Latin dialect of Dacia. The direction of writing in it is from right to left and from bottom to top. Indian Mahesh Kumar Singh believes that the book is written from left to right and from top to bottom in a still undocumented version of the Brahmi script. The scientist transliterated the first 24 pages of the codex. As a result, he received the text in Hindi. According to other experts, the text of the book is a kind of code system. The language in which all this is written is of artificial origin, simply speaking, made up. Experts say that the Rohonzi Codex is a common Catholic prayer book. It mainly contains paraphrases from the New Testament that tell about the early life of Jesus Christ. In the book, scientists even found the date when it was written. This is 1593. Most experts recognize this version of the decryption as the most probable. It has practically no flaws. And there are practically no flaws in our channel as well. This is confirmed by your views and kind comments. Stay with us further. Thanks for your views. Bye everyone.